Hello, Bobcats. Mrs. Wallheit here. We're still in Chapter 10. We're going to be looking at Lesson 7 today, multiplying mixed numbers, and we know that it's a 5th grade standard. I'm hoping at the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to multiply one mixed number by another mixed number. Why are we learning this? What is the main idea? Well, recipes. Sometimes it will ask you to have 1 2/3 cup of sugar, and you have to times that by 1 3/4. So today's lesson is going to help you when it comes to cooking in the kitchen. All right, what do you already know about improper fractions? Well, hopefully you remember that this mixed number, 1 2/3, can be written as an improper fraction. When you multiply 3 times 1 and then add that numerator, you get 5. So 3 times 1 plus 2. And then, of course, we keep that same denominator. So I'm hoping that you remember that an improper fraction is a number that has a numerator that's larger or bigger than the denominator. I'm hoping that you also remember that 5/3 is equivalent or equal to 1 2/3. Okay, let's go ahead and look at 2 1/2. I can write this as an improper fraction. 2 times 2 is 4, plus that numerator of 1, so 5 halves. 5 over 2 is the same value as 2 1/2. Just like 25 cents is the same as 25 pennies. A quarter and 25 pennies look nothing alike, but they have the same value. Just like 2 1/2 looks nothing like 5 over 2, but they too have the same value. All right, today what I want you to do first is change those mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay, go ahead and change them because we already know they're equivalent. And once we have that improper fraction, it's going to help us. After we make an improper fraction, go ahead and multiply the numerators. Then multiply the denominators, the numbers on the bottom. You want to make sure to simplify your answer. And is it reasonable? Did you finish? Can you simplify any more? Or are you truly done? 1, make that improper fraction. 2, multiply the numerator. Then multiply the denominator. Finally, simplify and make sure you've simplified it correctly all the way down. Math in My World, example number 1. A blueberry muffin recipe calls for 1/2 cup of blueberries. A blueberry pie recipe calls for 3 1/2 times more blueberries. How many cups of blueberries are needed to make the pie? Well, I need to figure out how many blueberries they need to make the pie. Step 1, I'm going to go ahead and change 3 1/2 into an improper fraction. 3 times 2 plus the 1 is 2 times 3 is 6 plus the 1 is 7. Keep that same denominator. Now that I have an improper fraction where the number on top is larger than the number on bottom, I can go ahead and move on to step 2. Step 2 is where I get to multiply those numerators. So 7 times 1 is 7. Step 3, multiply the denominator. 2 times 2 is 4. Step 1, I made that improper fraction. Step 2, I multiplied the numerators. Step 3, multiplied the denominators. Okay, now I need to simplify my answer. 7/4 is improper. I can simplify it and make a mixed number. How many groups of 4 can I make out of 7? Well, I can make one group of 4. I can go ahead and subtract it. Oh, there's 3 that won't fit in another group. So 7/4 has the same value, or it's equal to 1 3/4. So let's go back to the question. How many blueberries, or how many cups of blueberries are needed to make the pie? Well, the answer is I need 1 cup of blueberries and 3/4 of another cup of blueberries. It's reasonable because 7/4 has the same value as 1 3/4. Math in my world, example 2. Find the unknown. So I got to solve this, and I'm going to start with step 1, changing 1 1/2 into an improper fraction. Well, I know I'm going to have to multiply 2 times 1 plus the 1. So that's 3/2 or 3/2. Same thing with the other mixed number. 4 times 3, that whole number is 12. And plus the numerator, 12 plus 3 equals 15/4. Keep that same denominator. Step 1 is done. I have made improper fractions. Step 2 is where I get to go ahead and multiply the numerators. So if I set it up, I can multiply 15 times 3. Those are the numerators. And I know that 15 times 3 is 45. Step 3, multiply the numbers on the bottom, the denominators. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, and then the next step is when I get to simplify. I can go ahead and take 45/8, which is an improper fraction, and make it a mixed number. I'm going to have to divide. How many groups of 8 can I make out of 45? Well, 8 times 5 is 40. And then I'm going to have 5 left over. So I can make 5 groups of 8, and 5/8 or 5 out of 8 is left. So there's 5 that I cannot put into a group of 8. So 45/8 is equivalent to 5 5/8. It's reasonable because they have the same value. All right, Bobcats, moving into guided practice. I'm going to go ahead and find the value of the answer, but I need to make sure it's in simplest form. I'm going to change this mixed number into an improper fraction. 4 times 5 is 20 plus the numerator 1, 21/5. Step 1, create an improper fraction. Done. Step 2 is where I can multiply those numbers on top, the numerator. 21 times 1 is 21. Now step 3, multiply the denominators, the numbers on the bottom. 5 times 2 is 10. The next step is to simplify. I need to change this improper fraction to a mixed number. I can go ahead and divide. How many groups of 10 can I make out of 21? Well, I have 2 groups of 10. And there's 1 that won't fit in the group of 10. So 2 1/10 is equivalent or equal to this improper fraction. So I concluded the answer is 2 1/10. And it's reasonable because it has the right value. It has the value of this improper fraction. All right, here we go, Bobcats. Let's move into independent practice. We're going to go ahead and try number 3. Step 1, change that mixed number into an improper fraction. I'm going to multiply 4 times 2 is 8, plus the 3 is 11/4. Once I created that improper fraction, I can move on to step 2, where I get to multiply the numerators. I can put 2/5 on this side because it doesn't matter the order, commutative property. 11 times 2 is 22. Step 3, multiply the denominators. 4 times 5 is 20. I can simplify this improper fraction. I can make it a mixed number. How many times will 20 divide into 22? Or how many groups of 20 can I make out of 22? I can make 1 group of 20. And then there's 2 left over. 2 out of 20 that will not fit into a group. So I determine the answer is 1 2/20. Now, is it reasonable? No, it's not reasonable because I can still simplify. I can still divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. That's their greatest common factor. So the answer would be 1 and 1/10. That is a fully simplified answer. I'm sure glad that I checked the reasonableness of this answer, and I realized that I could simplify more. And it tells me I have to put it in the simplest form, and now it's reasonable. I know that I can move on. All right, still in independent practice. Let's go ahead and try problem number 5. Let's change those mixed numbers into improper fractions. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5/2. 5/2. Now I can change this one to a improper fraction as well. 5 times 4 is 20 plus the 1. 21/5. Step 2, multiply the numerators. 21 times 5. Well, that's 105. Step 3, multiply the denominators. 2 times 5 is 10. I can go ahead and simplify, making that mixed number. How many groups of 10 can I make out of 105? Well, 10 divides into 10 one time. I'm going to start there. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 10, bring down the 5. Well, I know that I cannot make a group of 10 out of 5. I don't have enough. So I'm going to put a 0. 10 times 0 is 0, and if I subtract it, I still have that 5 that I cannot fit into a group of 10. That becomes my numerator, and my denominator is 10. So I have 5 left out of 10. Remember, it says simplest form. So I can see that 10 and 5/10 can still be simplified. There's a factor that these two numbers share. 5 and 10 both share the factor of 5. Right? 5 times 1 and 5 times 2. So I can use 5 and simplify this fraction. 5 is half of 10. So I theorize the answer is 10 and 1/2. It's reasonable because I went ahead and created a fraction in simplest form. All right, moving into independent practice, multiply, write in simplest form. Let's try number 9. Let's make those improper fractions. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus the 5 is 11/6. We keep the same denominator. Now we can look at this one. 4 times 3 is 12, and then I can add the numerator. 12 plus 1 is 13. Keep that 3 on the bottom. Okay, now I can go ahead and do step 2, multiply the numerators. Well, I know 11 times 13 is 143. Step 3, multiply the denominators. 6 times 3 is 18. Now I can go ahead and simplify. How can I make this improper fraction into a mixed number? Well, I'm going to need to divide. And I need to figure out how many groups of 18 can I make out of 143. Well, I know that 18 times 7 is 126. So I can make 7 groups of 18. I'm going to need to subtract to see what's left that will not fit into a group of 18. Well, there's 17 left, so it's almost another group of 18, but not quite enough. I'm missing one. So it's 7 groups of 18 with 17 out of 18 that are left. I can't simplify anymore because 17 and the number 18 only share the factor of 1. I'm finished, and it is reasonable. Problem solving. Number 15. Lainey bought 1 2/3 pounds of grapes. She also bought bananas that were 2 1/4 times the weight of the grapes. How much did the bananas weigh? Well, step 1, I'm going to go ahead and create improper fractions. 3 times 1 is 3 plus the 2, 5/3. 2 times 4 is 8, plus the 1 is 9, and I'm going to keep the 4 as the denominator. Now the next step says go ahead and multiply those numerators. Well, I know 9 times 5 is 45, and 3 times 4 is 12. The next step is where we simplify. Can we change this improper fraction into a mixed number? How many groups of 12 can fit into 45? Well, I know 12 times 3 is 36. And I can go ahead and see how many won't fit into a group of 12. What's left over? Well, I have 9. So I have 3 groups of 12 and 9 out of 12 left over. Well, I established the answer. Well, I better check and see if it's reasonable. It's definitely not reasonable because I have not simplified this number fully. 9 and 12 both share a factor of 3. So I can simplify this more by dividing by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I established the answer is 3 as a whole number and 3/4. So 3 3/4 of a pound. It's reasonable because I have completely simplified my answer. All right, it's that time again. What did you learn today? Well, in summary, today I learned you can multiply a mixed number by a fraction or a mixed number by a mixed number. You just need to make sure that you can change it to that improper fraction. Finally, in summary today, I learned that an answer is only complete. It's only done if that answer is fully simplified. So Bobcats, make sure you simplify your answer when you finish today. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for your attention.